Night Watch Institute, Node 3, February 9th, 2022. I was listening to a Star Talk episode just a few minutes ago regarding a problem that helioseismologists and others were having trouble trying to figure out why the sun's own cycle and field worked the way it did, and why it would switch, why you'd have the odd coronal mass ejections and things to that effect. And I don't know, it was just the way that Oluseyi, is that the right? I can't remember his name, but the good doctor that they had on there, I'm just going to call him Dr. O for now. He had mentioned that it was odd that Jupiter has the bands, and that observing the sun up close, we see similar odd fluid dynamics taking place within the plasma discharges and the fields that are taking notice. And it just occurred to me, I don't, not entirely sure why. They were talking about the sunspots, and if you picture sunspots in the sun, they're basically just fairly uniform blemishes, like speckles or freckles, or liver spots on the arm or something. When they happen, there doesn't necessarily seem to be any one spectacularly remarkable one, and yet on a failed star like Jupiter, in a gas giant, we get the big red dot. And then if we observe other gas giants in our own system, we see that I believe it was Neptune also has a big storm, and others. And so I got to thinking about that and why that would necessarily be the case, and got to thinking back to the electromagnetic field dynamics in there, and what might be taking place if you were to take the gyroscopic system, the classical system model that we have of the Sun and Jupiter and planet interiors, and instead of just thinking about them as a hollow or uniform mass on the interior that is spherical, instead what if they were considered more of an anode cathode obloid of some sort? And so, as we see with on the surface of the sun, we have these little dots that would basically counterbalance each other out, or along with the spin in the field around it gravitically and presumably waveform like. However, with Jupiter, we see that you've got one big huge spot, and I'm sure you've got the other storms on Jupiter as well that don't get as much love. But why would we have some kind of semi-permanent storm that large? And more to the point, why would it keep either increasing or decreasing in size, and what would affect it? And so I got to thinking about it, and if you instead considered the star to be more as a semi-helical structure, like a ladder that had rungs but only one rail instead of two, in something as harmonious a rotating vibrating system waveform in here, the better the harmony you have, the better the harmonics, the more energy efficient and perpetuatory that you're going to be able to extend the motion, the spin, the energy play dynamic of it. So the more perfect your balance of kind of the primary alignment of these structures, and then the little obloids in each area that are rotating around, shifting in mass, and they're going to be constantly shifting in mass, because each of these is going to be a combination of Lord knows plasmas, liquids, solids, and things, and as they spin around gravitically, they're going to spread out and they're going to collide with other elements within them. So there's going to be an immense amount of chaos at these areas. But if they can manage to be set in motion harmoniously enough to continue these spins, you know, you think of them as like a whole bunch of plates or a top or whatever that's spinning, and this central structure not technically existing, only the rungs in the ladder are existing around a central point. If you get them to spin harmoniously enough, you get a star. If, however, they're a little too lopsided or a little too uneven or whatnot, and you can't get enough of this structure to harmonize at once, that's how you end up with a gas giant, where you end up with one particular mass kind of shooting off the side, and you end up with like a derpy spindle of some sort. Let's see, here we go, here's a little tiny piece of chalk left. So in the case of, you know, the sun, you might have a real nice, you know, as nice as I can draw, you know, real nice perfect spindle with all the right proportions to keep going indefinitely. But with something like Jupiter or something, maybe you had, whoops, a lopsided toroid arrangement that then now wobbles a little bit each time. Obviously, that wouldn't be to scale, but if it was by enough, you would always have, you know, some kind of a bulge on one side that would correct itself in one direction or another. So if I were to try and express this from a strictly, you know, side point of view, if that were the you know, the star that you were looking at, you'd see these nice uniform little you know, toroids that each individually would be spinning, creating what you'd eventually perceive as the star. If you looked at it from a, you know, a downwards top view, you'd have your shortest spindles creating the poles at the north and south. You'd have your, you know, medium ones in the middle, and your longest ones creating the diameter of the whole spin structure of those toroids. If you were to, you know, kind of take away all the atmosphere and everything else and just show the toroids, it would probably look something like that. And if you were to kind of do an isometric of the whole thing and try and capture it in motion, it would probably look something like a, you know, that zigzag spiral thing of toroids and atmosphere. Anyway, I don't know if that's particularly accurate or helpful or anything to that effect. But if this helps anyone who does heliosciences or plasma fluid dynamics or EMFs within a working fluid, hopefully this is useful. Bye.